welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Steffanie Rivers. I'm sitting in my beautiful hotel room in Hong Kong. It's the Alberg Discovery Bay Hotel. Outside here is a lot to see. They got a beach, actually, beachfront. They've got the mountains. They got lifts that can take you up to those mountains. Down at the bottom they got a swimming pool and lots of eateries and shopping you can do. This hotel is awesome. It's $250 a night, and I will say it's not my first choice because I'm a cheap diva. But let me give you some background on how I actually ended up at this $250 a night hotel. So I just got back. I'm on the way back home from vacationing in Bali, I wanted to make sure I was here at the Hong Kong airport, which is nearby, for my return flight to Dallas, where I live, because Mama got stuff to do. I got businesses that need my attention. I've been gone for a week. Had an awesome time in Bali, Indonesia. I'll tell you about that in another video at another time. But essentially what I said was to myself, I want to make sure I get back on time from vacation, because as a flight attendant, I don't know if you know, but I'm a flight attendant. A lot of times what I hear from the passengers on the plane when we have delays, I hear from them, well, I'm missing my connecting flight to my vacation, or I'm missing my graduation or my funeral or the wedding that I'm supposed to be going to. Why? Because they waited until the day of to take the flight to go where they were trying to get to, and stuff happens. You can't control the weather, you can't control maintenance delays. And so what I try to do is take my own advice and avoid all that. I said, let me put myself in a position, I'm going to end my vacation a day early, and then I'm going to make sure that I am back in place, that I'm in Hong Kong the night before my flight leaves, so I'm just a local transportation ride from the airport. So I ended up here early. Now what I did was I went online and I found a hotel. Again, cheap diva, $250 hotel is not something that I'm going to pay for if I can avoid it. So what I did was I said, let me go online and find me a hotel. I found a hotel in Hong Kong. It was around 80 bucks a night. That's my kind of price, right? But the hotel said it was in Shenzhen, so that's like Shenzwen or something like that. So I mean, okay, wherever you tell me it is where it is. All I know is I put in Hong Kong. So when one of my criterion for picking a hotel, aside from making sure that it's cheap enough for a cheap diva, and is that it has shuttle service. So I go to hotwire.com. Shout out to Hotwire, because that's where I normally get all my hotels and car rentals and stuff like that. But the thing on Hotwire is you have to pay in advance, and then they tell you more about your car rental or your hotel. So it said in the information online that the hotel had a shuttle bus service. So after I signed up for it, I emailed them and said, hey, I need shuttle bus service from the airport to your hotel. But they never got back to me before I left Bali. So I ended up in Hong Kong at the airport ready to go to the hotel. And I don't have calling privileges to call Hong Kong, so I had to email. They never got back to me. So I said, okay, I'll just take an Uber. Well, no, you won't, because they don't have Uber in Hong Kong. So I said, okay, I'll take a taxi. Okay, so I went and did the money exchange. I got $100 in Hong Kong money. I got plenty of money, US dollars, and I got a credit card. Surely that's enough to get me to where I'm trying to go. But what I didn't know is that in Hong Kong, the taxis have certain jurisdictions that they can't pass. So it's kind of like, if you know DC, you cross over a bridge to get to Virginia, you cross over another bridge to get to Maryland, or in New York City, the different boroughs are connected by bridges. So you got me. So in Hong Kong though, the taxis cannot cross over into those other jurisdictions. So I'm getting into a cab and I have pulled up on my phone what they tell you. Show this to the taxi driver, it's in Chinese, and that will tell them where you're trying to go. So I'm just showing everybody what's going on, because I speak no Chinese, I speak a whole lot of English. The Chinese taxi drivers, they speak a little English and a lot of Chinese. So they didn't know enough to tell me that, you know, you're going into China, right? So I didn't know that. All I know is I'm getting in the cab, showing them where I'm trying to go, and they're taking me from point A to point B and then dropping me off. He's like, okay, you got to get out here. I'm like, but I'm not at the hotel yet. Why I got to get out? So now we're calling over people who speak a little bit of English to tell me a little bit about what's going on. So I got the gist of they cannot cross over into that jurisdiction. So I had to get out of that cab, and then I had to get in another cab, and that cab took me to this point, and this cab drops me off at this transfer center. I could tell it was like a mass transit center. I didn't know that this is the Chinese customs place where you go to cross over into China. I didn't know that's what I was wanting to do, because I'm just trying to get to my hotel. So I go in, they're talking about, do you have a visa? I'm like, yeah, I got a visa. Now, I have a visa, a work visa, because I'm a flight attendant, and we have different visas and different things that allow us to go from one country to the next, because we do different flights internationally and domestically. So I show them the visa that I have, a work visa. They're like, no, this is not the right visa. So I'm like, but it's a visa, and I'm just trying to get to my hotel. I'm showing everybody the same stuff that they tell you to show the taxi driver. Please take me to this hotel. So they're like, they understood what I was trying to do, but the fact still remains, I'm trying to cross into China, and I need a certain type of visa. This was on a Sunday. All the visa places are closed, but they're like, you can take another taxi to go over here in the last minute visa. And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to take no more taxis, because at this point I had already paid like $500 Hong Kong dollars, and I only had $100 Hong Kong dollars. So I had to give them my US dollars plus the Hong Kong dollars, plus they didn't take credit card. So my credit card was no good at this point. So it was just turning into be a mini little nightmare with me trying to get to this $85 a night hotel in China. Okay, so anyway, after I realized, so I'm at that transition. If you ever going to Mexico or wherever, Canada, on vacation, you realize you're crossing over customs and you gotta show your passport and everything. I'm showing them my passport, I'm showing them my work visa, I'm showing them my my flight attendant ID, I'm showing them this, I'm showing them all that, to tell them, look, I'm just trying to get to my hotel. So Chinese police officers and customs and immigration people are standing there around, and they talking Chinese, and I don't talk Chinese. And then they, you know, this, that, and I'm like, okay, is something about to go down? Is this about to be an international incident just because I'm trying to get to my $85 a night hotel? So, long story short, is it too late? Anyway, they told me I could not do that, and then they escorted me back to the border, because when you walk through customs, you cross over into the next country basically in the building. So they had to walk me back over to the other side to Hong Kong. Then I had to take another cab. I already knew it was going to be about 500 Hong Kong dollars, because I had just come from over there. So then I went back to the airport, Hong Kong airport, because I'm using Wi-Fi. And so, and I can't even start working on getting a new hotel until I get to the airport. And so at that point, when I get to the airport and I'm texting my mother, telling her what's going on, because she has an iPhone, I have an iPhone, so you can text each other. And so, because I went to Bali by myself, which is a whole nother video again, as to how I ended up in Indonesia by myself. But anyway, what let's stick to this story. So anyway, I get in there and I start looking for hotels, trying to make sure I'm just up the street from the airport. I'm not crossing into China, trying to get, so I'm doing all this, and the nice taxi driver on the way back to the airport, he kind of gave me some more information about, if you want to stay near the airport, you go to land trial. If you do this, you go over there. This is Hong Kong Island. This is new territory. This, that. So I knew I'm trying to stay in this area, which ends up being this Alberg Discovery Bay hotel, $250 a night. So I see why people end up going over to China for a hotel, but they should have told me that, because it could have gone real wrong at the border. So anyway, it's nice, and I will say this. Everybody was very accommodating. The issue was on my part, being ignorant of the system and the situation, and so I would never do this again. But I will say to you, maybe it happened to me, so it won't happen to you. If you ever want to come to Hong Kong and spend the night, make sure your hotel is actually in Hong Kong and not in China. If it is, you need to have a visa to get over there, and hopefully it's not on a Sunday, because that's going to be another problem. And that's my story. So to find out, to read the written version of my journal, you can go to EURWeb, electronicurbanradioweb.com. Thanks, and have a super day, and I'll see you back in the United States.